like someone who loves music. Oh, interesting.
To go. Thank you. So, good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, everyone. Did I say good afternoon? Good evening. It's already 6 o'clock, so good evening, everyone. And thank you once again for joining us, for being faithful to hearing me with my funny voice. But I'm glad you're there. So it's family meeting legacy talks once again. My name is Busola Shobamimo. I'm your life and legacy consultant, helping you find you, do life, and put your imprints then in the sand. It's all about legacy. And anyone, like I always say, that you find on the platform with me is because I have identified something that I can that I recognize as legacy, something that, or character traits, something that other people can aspire to adopt, or something that will influence the next generation, or even influence current generation. So today, once again, I say because it's family meeting, anyone that's here, it's family. Brother, sister, aunties, uncles, mommies, they're always family because we are all working the same trade. So I have with me today a brother, and he is my brother. You'll find out how. One is Yoruba, is Nigerian. So am I. So we're family. You find the family tree. And this is my brother from Facebook. So I'm glad and happy to introduce to you today Nathaniel Adegoke. Nathaniel, thank you for joining us, for saying yes.
Thanks for having me. Good evening, everyone.
So Nathaniel is here because I've invited him to share some of the things that I have been enjoying by reading what he writes, what he talks about, when he's sharing his passion. Am I right to say, no, before we get there, I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you so we all get to know you better.
Thank you so much for having me, Busola. It's such a joy to be here. And I honestly do hope that I can do this a lot more often, but I'm usually very shy. So I don't get to put myself out as much as I should. So when people invite me to come on their platform, it's really something I really, really do appreciate. So yes, thank you for having me. My name is Nathaniel Adegoke. I live in Lagos. My day job is management consulting and real estate development. I'm a single parent. I have 2 kids. My son is 11. My daughter will be 9 in a few months. I've been on this single parenting journey for quite some time. My daughter was only 3 at the time. So apart from my day job, something I am passionate about is helping people answer difficult life questions. I think one of my biggest or strongest gifts is the ability to have insights into quite a lot of issues. I tell people I know something about everything. And so, yes, I totally do enjoy sharing knowledge.
Okay.
And by virtue of calling, I'm called to the Ministry of Help. So helping people, helping organizations, that pretty much sits in the alley of what my purpose on earth is. So whether it's consulting, whether it's blogging, whether it's writing on Facebook, whether it's coming on live with Busola, the center core is helping people either help them find clarity, help them find answers, help them make more money, help them prosper, whatever it is. I'm that guy who prefers to be in the back end and helping people who are in the front end make the most of their lives. So yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And you know, a couple of weeks ago, we had somebody that he said exactly the same thing you said, that he has knowledge in every bit of industry. So, and on his profile, he said a polymath. Victory, I'm talking about you if you're watching. So, like, when you come here, you come and explain what that is. So, apparently, that's what it means, that having knowledge in diverse sectors, that you can always say, you know, like, just vast knowledge and ability to do a lot of things, you know.
Yeah, it's a gift, I think, and also because of my industry. So, working as a management consultant with almost 20 years of experience, you've worked diverse sector, diverse team, diverse market. So you pretty much tend to have some information about almost everything.
Always learning.
Yes.
So thank you once again. It's interesting because one of the things that endeared me to your post is your pet name for your kids.
Okay.
Your son is Arole. I can't remember your daughter's word. What is it?
Sunshine.
Sunshine, yes. Okay. And it's because of our culture, the kind of culture we grew up in, men are supposed to be like, you know, be the macho one, be the they say man up. They say there's a bro code, like, you know, all of that. Men are not supposed to be showing emotions, but yours hasn't been that case, because you speak about the kind of relationship you have with your dad as well, which is very, very endearing. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that has, you know, rolled over into the kind of relationship you have with your kids as a single dad?
So I think you can't give what you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think largely for me, everything I do with my kids or for my kids are just a fraction of what my dad did with me or for me, or how I see him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with his own dad. Literally, my dad adored his father. Like, my grandfather, whom I actually have a foundation named after my grandfather, was an amazing man, lovely man. And he welcomed everybody into his home. He had not a lot of money, but he was able to, even within his own poverty, help a lot of people go to school, learn a trade. Before he died, he was the head of his denomination, his Christian denomination. My dad too turned out to be a pastor. I turned out to be a pastor. So it's just been some generational legacy of strong men who provided, who supported, and who gave who met the emotional needs of not just their children, but even the extended family. So, yes, my dad and I, not until recently, my dad calls me every day, like every single day.
Wow.
And even now, he probably will still call 3-4 times a week. I remember in the early days of my separation, my dad would call 3-4 times a day. And he's just saying, I just want to know you're fine. I just want to check on you. Sometimes the call is just 10 seconds for his calling. Sometimes he would call and say, have you eaten? I'm like, Daddy, you're several kilometers away. If I'm not eating, when exactly do you start to do it? You know? So yes, he's that kind of a man. I remember one day he called me at night just while I was signing off on the phone. I told him I'm going to Abuja the next day and that my flight was early in the morning. And by 5 a.m., my phone was ringing and I picked it was my dad. And my dad said, oh, I just want to make sure that you're not oversleeping enough for you to miss your flight. I decided to call you. You know, my dad would send prayer points and send confessions and send all sorts via text message. So yes, I grew up seeing my dad provide all that emotional loving support. And it's just automatic that I do the same for my kids. I mean, I don't struggle. Even when I knew the marriage was not going to last much longer, and I knew for my mental health, I just needed to get out of it. My kids were something I knew I could not live without. It was something I knew, whatever it takes, I would have to fight for custody, one way or the other. And so, yes, I say this with a sense of pride. I have a legacy, I have a heritage of strong, loving men in my life, in my family. And it's just easy for me to pass it down. And my son is just exactly the same. Simon is 11, but he can hug you for Africa. He tells you, I love you a million times. And so we can finish praying, and maybe it's bedtime and he's off to bed, and he just would remember at the door that he hasn't told me he loves me. Then he'll run back and give me a hug and say, Daddy, I love you, multiple times. I think it's just that ability or that grace of God, I think, and we passing it down to the generations after us.
And I think it's very important because these affirmative words, they need constantly to hear it, like, you know. And I know most men struggle with saying it, or even giving that touchy, affectionate, you know, like, what would you say to men, you know, that struggle with this, you know, or what would you, let me put it this way, how would you say to people, to, I'll say men, because it's men mostly, women more are touchy-feely people, kind of. So what would you say to men to make them understand the emotional impact on the children? You've been a recipient of that.
Yeah.
You know, so how, you know, what kind of feeling does it give you? How would you translate that to make people be more aware that it's important for them to do those things?
To be honest, I don't think we can underestimate it. So I was telling someone recently, I said, I'm never intimidated. I'm an introvert, so you probably won't find me in every party. And once I'm out today, I probably want to be indoors for another 5 or 6 days before I can go out again. But that doesn't translate to being timid or shy or not being able to express myself. I can walk into any room and express myself confidently. And I think that stems from having a very strong father figure in my life. It stems from having a man that affirms me consistently. I remember my father telling me once, in the middle of my separation, I mean, this was like 5 years ago, and you can imagine what losing a marriage as a pastor, growing up in a loving family, and you not being able to have your own family, whatever. It was a very dark season in my life. And my dad would call and say things like, you are the answer to a generation of prayers. And my dad would say things like, your grandfather, my father, looked forward to your day because he knew you carried the blessing of this generation. So having those words of affirmation spoken to you consistently did a number on me. Like, I couldn't self-hate. I couldn't wallow in anxiety or depression. I couldn't wallow in self-pity, because strong words, powerful words have been spoken into my life, over my life, not just by anybody, but by my own father, my own life source. And it's the same with my mom. So I'm going to say that for men, we underestimate our power in shaping the next generation, the kind of human beings that we release into the world. I wrote jokingly one day, and I tell people that please, while you're raising your children, remember they would only probably live under your roof for a few decades. The more of their life will be spent with somebody else.
Absolutely.
Be careful not to send out terrorists into the world to fight and make other people's lives miserable. I've only said that to say that men, have the power to shape the kind of men or the kind of boys that would go into the world. So for men, I would say vulnerability takes a lot of courage, most definitely. But vulnerability is the only way to live life maximally. So if you're not vulnerable, if you're not able to express yourself in ways that are authentic, then you can't really fully, truly live an awesome life. So if I love you, I tell you I love you. I tell my friends, my lady friends, my men friends, if we see each other, we give each other a full hug. When I'm on the phone with my buddies, when I'm hanging up, Henry, I love you, man. Be good. You know, it's important that we let people know that we love them, we care for them. If that is how you feel, being able to express how you feel is you refusing to enjoy a dimension of happiness that you would never be able to enjoy any other way. So the rapper that just passed on DMX, something just occurred to me. Everyone is posting his pictures, everyone is telling him they love him, legend, hero, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, human beings are weird. I doubt this guy got 1/1000 of the love and affection and affirmation is getting at his death. Why don't we give people the flowers when they can smell it while they're alive? Why do we wait till something bad happens before we let people know how much they mean to us? And I know it's a cultural thing. I know this thing is rooted in years and years and years of programming, maybe patriarchy or whatever it is. But we can undo it. We can definitely undo it. It's you making up your mind to say, you know what? I'm going to be authentic about my life. I'll be authentic about how I feel. I would communicate emotionally in ways that are empowering to the people that surround me, to the people that love me. I will try to learn their love languages. If they like hugs, if they like word of affirmation, if they like quality service, I would like to give them that while they're alive. We need to do these things deliberately, especially for those of us that did not grow up seeing it being done or that they experience it being done to us. We need to realize it's not normal to love someone and not be able to
not tell them
because you don't want to be perceived as weak. No, it's strong to be vulnerable. Vulnerability takes courage. So the people that expresses that side of them are the strongest amongst us. They're the ones that says, you know what, I'm going to put myself out there. It might turn out right, it might turn out not right, but whatever it is, I'm going to let people know how I feel about them. I'm going to communicate my emotions in ways that are empowering of other people. And yes, the world becomes a much better place because we all do that.
Thank you so much. I'm going to come back on that point on authenticity, and I want to tie it into the mental stress that it creates. But before we go into that, I just want to say a couple of comments online there. Just Mary Anidi, oh my days, how are you, Mary? Long time. Thank you for joining. Shade Samakerele, hello, Busola and Nathaniel. Thank you very much. Victory Basi, Vicky is actually there. That's a polymath. Victory, see your brother. Thank you. Adeyemi Toluwalashe says, I Otumba, I am here. Thank you. Hello, Mr. Nathaniel. That's Opala Ye, Olushola Joshua. Bukola Bababumi, thank you. Wanola, thank you. Wano says, givers give regardless of how much they have. Thank you. That's true, Wano. Thank you so much. Oniloye, Bukola Adedin, bravos. Tolu Akintola says, real men. Wano says, legacy of love. Absolutely. Tolu says, real men raise real sons. True. True. Hi, Otumba, Nina, Daphne, Ndukuba, thank you. Ojo Ibukum, good evening, sir. Thank you. Victory says vulnerability truly takes courage. Absolutely. Guys, thank you very much. keep it coming. Let's keep hearing your views on what we're talking about. It'll be nice to see if you have anything else to add on to it, because the message is supposed to be going out there to empower other people and impact, make a difference. Somebody else out there might just need this to transform their life. So let's hear your 2 cents on it as well. Thank you very much. Now, so thanks, Nathaniel. Back onto what you were talking about, that it takes a real man to make himself vulnerable to say, well, this is me. This is, I love you, deal with it. Unfortunately, it seems to be the most I love you that comes out of men's mouth is Lori Ro. like lover. That's the most part when you get the I love you, you know.
And I think a lot of men really do love. I would say majority of men do love. They are just really bankrupt in communicating it. And you see a man who wakes up in the morning, gets in the shower, heads out of his house, gets into Lagos traffic, goes to work, make the most of it, come back at night. While he's at work, no text message, no phone call, checking on the wife and the kids. He comes back home, is tired, he just wants to eat and goes to bed. And he repeats that 250 days in a year. And you say to him, you don't love me. If you love me, you will be more affectionate towards me. The man is thinking, why do you think I struggle through Lagos traffic? Why do you think I'm working so hard? You are the reason why I am slaving. And to him, he is loving his woman, his family. But sadly, the person he thinks is loving is not feeling loved. And there is a disconnect. And that's why I tell people, it's not just enough to say, this is how I've always learned it, or this is how I've always been taught, or this is what I think it is. It's important for us to unlearn certain things and say, if my ways aren't working, what am I doing wrongly? What should I change? What should I look into? So to that man, I would say, we see you, we hear you, we know your heart, and we believe that you love us, but can you do it the way we want it to be done?
Exactly.
And I tell people, you don't catch the fish on your terms. You catch the fish on the fish's terms. You don't go about loving people the way you want to love them. You go about loving them the way they want to be loved. So if you're with someone, you have a partner, a family, whose primary love language is words of affirmation, then you want to make sure that from time to time, you're sending them messages, voice notes, handwritten notes, well done, cut. I mean, these things cost nothing. But they take a lot of effort, they take a lot of mental commitment. And it doesn't make us weak, it just makes us self-aware. It makes us remember that our family is an extension of us. And I don't get why people don't see that. If my kids are well, then I am well. If my wife, my partner is well, then I am well. If I am well, but they are not well, I am not well. And it's important for us to see that when a family unit is in place, it's not just I, me alone anymore. It's about we, it's a team. And if the team does not have a common language that they both agree to and understand, then there would be problem, even if their intentions are the same and pure and all of that. So yes, I'm going to say that we can learn these things. We just need to pay attention. And while we're paying attention, we need to know that we're not weak. We're not being a pushover. We are just smart. We are making the right decision for our family to raise healthy children.
Absolutely. When I said tying it into mental stress as well, when you shut up emotions inside of you, you're not expressing, you're not being real because you've been trained to man up. You're
Yes.
manning up difficulties, you're manning up stress, and it gets into your head. Release it, live life.
Yes. And I think self-awareness is huge. A lot of people don't even know they are stressed. They don't know their headaches. They don't know that the fact that they have this short fuse, this short temper. They don't know that even the stiffness in their muscle, their physical body's reaction, are all expression of stress. So they're not self-aware. So the more self-aware you are, the more likely it is for you to say to yourself first, some things are not working. And the more self-aware you are, the more you're likely to probe what are not working, why they are not working, and what can you do to make them work better. There is never a one-size-fits-all. There is never one solution to everybody's problems. But being self-aware would mean you recognize your stressors, your triggers, and you are able to address them lovingly, not just to people, but even to yourself. When you love yourself, you definitely would give yourself what's best for it, including loving affection for yourself. And yes, so let me share this quickly. So a friend of mine lost someone really close, a family member, and at the funeral, he was really broken and he was crying. And an older member of his family went to him. I was like, what's all that? Why are you crying? You need to be strong for these women. Men don't cry and all of that. And I didn't know, when I walked over to the man, I said, can you please calm down and let this man feel the emotions that he's feeling? Allow him the space to feel all of the emotions and the pain that he's feeling, because that is where the healing comes. So yes, if we are not allowed to feel, we're not allowed to express our emotions, we bottle things up, it would eventually erupt. And when that happens, it's never pretty.
That's true. And you saying that just reminded me as well of when my dad passed, and I proposed in my head that when I go home, I'm going to dance. When those Onilus are doing the drums, that I'm going to dance, and that was my way of celebrating my dad. It was going to be my even if I'm crying, it wouldn't mean a thing to me, because that dance was my in my head. I conditioned myself to, this is a dance I'm dancing for my dad, to celebrate him and appreciate him.
Yeah.
And I was just going to look at his at the corpse and just keep a mental picture in my head that I was going to take away with me. But because I was looking at him and I was crying, people were dragging me away. So I felt deprived, that they didn't give me my moment to take in my final picture. So it's just important to, when you're talking about understanding other people's languages, you never know what. It's always good for us to ask, especially when it comes to relationships, what makes you happy. You can't give me what I don't want. If you give me a present I don't want, it makes no meaning to me. If you give a bald man head, of what use is it for him? There is nothing that's going to grow on the desert, So
totally.
Yeah.
Totally
So
true.
thank you so much, Nathan. I'm just going to see what comments we have before we move on then. Thank you. I've enjoyed this so far. Okay, Adeyemi Tolualashe says, in Africa, we celebrate people in death. So sad. That's so true. We mentioned that earlier as well. Tolu says, do you think telling the opposite gender I love you may cause them to get the wrong ideas, especially if one of them has been crushing on you already? Tolu is female now.
Yes, I think there would be the need for a lot of discretion. So I don't tell every single person I love them. Obviously not. But if you're my friend and I love you, I should be able to tell you. If I have a female friend that is crushing on me and the feeling is not mutual, I hope she has told me that, oh, I like you and I'm hoping we could have something meaningful. And if I don't feel the same way about that person, I'll definitely say, oh, wow, I'm flattered. Thank you so much. Wow. I mean, I would express some
appreciation,
excitement and appreciation about it. I would make them feel good about themselves. I'll let them know how much I feel flattered for that attention. But I was gonna tell them honestly, I absolutely love and adore you, but only as a friend. And the reason is ABC. You could say the reason is I'm with somebody else. The reason is I'm not in that space of mind, or I don't feel the same way. But you would let them know how you value them, what you think about them, and you keep it moving, especially if they're your friend. If they are reasonable, they would understand and they would keep things moving as well. And you're an adult, so you will know. If it's going to be awkward, being affectionate towards them in visible ways going forward, then you know it's advisable. But if I have a best friend who is a lady, why not? Hey, we shout and hug, and oh, love you, baby, hey, have a good night. You know, I don't think I love you is the problem. I think it is the people communicating it and the various programming that we have that allows us process and interpret things differently. So yeah, I would say be wise, but there are several things you can use to substitute I love you, even if you can't use the words. You can say things like, oh, God bless you. I wish you well. Have a good one. Or have a great week. I'm rooting for you. You know, just let people know that you care deeply about them. And there are a million ways we can do that.
Yeah, it's even easy to say I love you. I say it all the time. Like, and I used to say it to my boss at work. And when I go, my daughter one day was like, "Don't you think you're going to be giving him the wrong impression?" I'm like, "What? For telling him I love him?" And, and sometimes I'm like, Chris, if you're watching this, I'm talking about you. I'm like, Chris. So there's nothing wrong. I mean, it's liberating telling people you love them, because it doesn't mean you want to have a relationship. It doesn't always mean you want to.
Doesn't mean you want anything romantic with them.
Exactly. It's just it's freeing to say you're appreciated. I care about you. You're important. You know, like yeah. So I think it's just free. It's just easy to I love you, and then sometimes tell you to bless off, like, you know, and then, okay, that's cool. Okay, well, Tolu, I hope that answers the question. Folashade says, if you love someone, tell them. Adeyemi Tolu Alashe says, really, I don't think men love as women do. I suppose it will take a man to know, though.
I think men are capable of every emotion just as much as women are. And say, oh, women are the emotional one. I'm like, how? Because anger is an emotion. And you probably would argue with me that men express more visible anger if we need to take statistics. I mean, I think we all probably get angry equally. I don't have data to back that up. But when it comes to people who actually make aggressive moves because of their anger, I think men would top the charts against women. And anger is an emotion. So what do you mean by women are more emotional?
I think what she's talking about there, you know, and I always say the same as well, is when it comes to matters of the heart, a woman will do anything. And I say to my kids, like, you know, growing up, I'm like, learn to treat a girl right, because if you treat her right, you know, you can actually give her your toe and she will lick it. You know, women will do anything. A woman that's in love will do anything, lay her life down, do everything for the guy. While we have that perception that men still have a bit of control, and you know, so women.
So if I look at my kids, my boy and my girl, my boy, if his emotional expression is 8/10, my
I think there's a bit of network hold up there. Okay, so while we're waiting for Nathaniel to come back, I'm just going to see what we have there. Okay, the question here, Okalaye Olushola Joshua, I'm going to read that back to Nathaniel when he comes back in. Toyi Martins, I think the major problem is knowing each other's love language. Communication is key. You need to ask, how do you want? Yeah, that's so true. Sorry, yeah, thank you. It was a bit of okay, you're muted. Cool.
Yes, I think my internet acted off.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's fine.
So I was saying that if you look at my son and my daughter, if my son is 8/10 in terms of emotional expressiveness, my daughter is probably 3/10. And she's the one that is straight-faced. She's the one that is the sharpshooter. She's the one that doesn't care to give you a hug. She's the one that doesn't care to tell you, I love you. And normally we would expect is the one that is more homely. And so I don't think it's a gender thing. I am definitely expressive of my emotions. If I love you, I tell you, I kiss you, I am all over you. I mean, you will know I really care about you. I don't hide how I feel, good or bad. I express myself in ways that are empowering. And so I'm just going to respond to Tolu to say that I don't think this thing is gender specific. I think it's largely about programming and how we were raised. I think a lot more men have been raised to be a certain way, which includes not expressing emotion as easily as a lady will do. But we can learn and unlearn things, no matter how old we are.
And that's the same question. I think it's there's further down the line. I have Opalaye Olushola Joshua says, how does a man deconstruct his mindset where his upbringing is without love and affections, like in your case? But I have to say his case is different. His case had love and affection. Nathaniel's case had love and affection all the way. So but a man did.
Yeah, I think that's what the question is saying. For people who do not have my type of upbringing, how do they deal with it? I think it's self-awareness, right? If you know I have a problem, it's easy for you to find a solution to it. A lot of people don't even think there is a problem.
Yeah.
And that therein is where the bigger problem lies. So the moment someone knows that, see, this way I'm going about my life, carrying shoulders up and down, constantly having a red eye, not understanding the need to be tender and affectionate, then I need to work on that. So first, recognize that there is a problem. And then secondly, go on a journey. We all need therapists. I tell people, we think that you need to have certain dimension of mental health problems for you to see a therapist. But I think we all need somebody to guide us, to hold our hands, to teach us these things. If you've spent most of your life being a certain way, and that certain way is not working, and you want to change that way, you need a coach. You need someone that says to you, it's okay to do this. It's okay to say that. It's okay to feel this way. It's okay to communicate your feelings this way. The more we open up ourselves to those kind of mentoring, and there are tons and tons of resources online or in books, in videos, we just need to first recognize the problem and then make a conscious effort at learning new ways to correct that particular way of thinking.
That's so true. Tolu has another one there. Okay, no, Toyi Martin says, I think the major problem is knowing each other's love language. Communication is key. Absolutely.
True, 100%.
How do you want me to love you? Huh? Which style do you want me to love you? I suppose, Tolu says, I suppose it's making a determination to give your spouse or children what you didn't get. I would have loved to have growing up. Absolutely. If you find something good and you know it's good, you go for it. Why
Yes,
settle for what isn't working? Like, change and
yes,
it makes you a better person at the end of the day. One who
yes.
says emotional health matters. Thank you guys for all those comments. Thank you. Keep them coming in still. Um, well, we're
You
going
know,
back.
there was a story that I read somewhere
Hmm,
about a set of twins who lost their alcoholic dad,
right.
and the man died not having made much with his life. And one of the kids turned out to be an alcoholic. And when they asked him, "Why are you an alcoholic?" he said, "My dad, that was all the example I had growing up. My dad was an alcoholic, and I have that in my blood, or I have that in my lineage. And the other one isn't an alcoholic, leads a responsible life." And they asked him, "How did you manage not to be an alcoholic?" And then he said, "My dad was an alcoholic. I saw how his life turned out. I saw the impact of alcohol. And I've made up my mind to never taste alcohol, to never allow it to ruin my life." So again, self-awareness, identifying the problem and then consciously saying, "This is what I would do to correct it and make sure it doesn't happen." I just thought to bring that in to say our background might play a significant role, but if it's not empowering us going forward, we can consciously learn new ways and do
Absolutely.
better.
I 100% agree with you. And I had a work colleague that was exactly the same. He had the same issue, but it wasn't alcohol. I think he just had a deadbeat dad, and um, his brother, his older brother, took the same lane. He was area boy. He turned out to be an area boy and all of that. But he was an airline crew. And when he was talking one day, he was saying about his family. I mentioned about his brother that, there was a debate, and he said, "No, I chose this life because I was not going to have anything with the kind of upbringing I had." So, like you said, it boils down to self awareness. If it's not working for you, once you can identify, and I always say that because we're talking about legacy, I need to pull this in. You can't self actualize, you cannot fulfill if you cannot identify yourself. And when it
Yeah,
comes to identification, it starts with self awareness.
yeah,
So you can't say, "I'm going to Shokoto," when you don't know where you're starting from. You can't punch anything into the sat nav when you don't
yeah,
know where you're at yourself. So
yeah,
it's very important, that we need to be self-aware. There was a time in my life as well that I wasn't. I'll be so tired, but I wouldn't know I'm tired. When you were talking about pain in the shoulders, people not knowing their stress levels and everything, things adding on stress to them, I was that person. My sister would be telling me, ẹ̀gbọ́n, ẹ wo bójú yín ṣe pọ́n." you know, it would take somebody to tell me my eyes are red for me to know that I'm tired. I wasn't feeling it. So it's so important for us to listen to our body, listen to our emotions, find out what's going to work for you, see what's working for other people, try it. It might not necessarily work for you, but until you try it, you don't know. It might look attractive to you, but remember, in every relationship, it's not just about you. So it's you and the other person. So it has to work out well. And the
yeah,
formula in the Smith's house might not necessarily work for the Jones. So
yeah.
it's so important. Your relationship is unique. It's you and your partner. Don't look at whatever is happening in the other place. Nathaniel, thank you. It's been very insightful.
Thank you
But we're
so
not
much.
quite done. Um, I have two more areas to touch. So the first one is how easy has it been for you as a single dad?
Um, it's not been easy if I'm really going to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But again, is relative. right? And it's always about you asking what other options exist and you making up your mind in the context of the other options available. This obviously is the easiest of them all. I enjoy being a dad, so it makes it a lot more bearable. I totally do enjoy it. And also because of my temperament, I'm a very structured person. And it also plays into my professional training. So I could structure our lives in a way that brings order. And with that order makes it a lot easier than it normally would have been. Then I have a lot of support. So my family is 100% behind me. They gave all the support that I need. My kids had been on holiday. They resume back to school tomorrow. So when they're on holiday, they spend some time visiting their mom, and then they spend some time visiting my own parents, because I think it's also important for them to grow up and see what a family loving union looks like. So I consciously make sure that my children have that. So, and in my family, my parents' house, it doesn't get more loving than that. It's this grandpa, grandma, how they relate to each other with a lot of love and affection and respect. And I think it's important for them to see that and be exposed to that. So when they visit their mom, they visit my own parents, it gives me a lot of time to also distress and relax and go on holiday too. So our typical day looks like wake up at 6, have a shower, get ready for school. We're out to school 30 minutes or 40 minutes later. By 7, past 7, they're in school. They have breakfast in school. By 8, work in school starts. I get to my office. I close early to pick them up at 3. We are home by 3:34.
Oh, we're losing him again on the network.
Okay. And then they have playtime. By 8. Their day is a wrap and it's time for bed. And we repeat that Monday to Friday. Saturday, they go to either football academy or less music school or dancing school or something. A lot of downtime to do homework or do whatever they want to do, projects. Sunday, go to church, downtime for games and TV. Monday, we repeat our routine. So because of the structure and the order, it's made it a lot easier. I have a younger sister who lives with me. I have a nanny for them. We have a driver that does all the driving. So somehow God has helped me with support system that definitely makes it a lot easier. But in terms of me enjoying it, there is no doubt about that. I enjoy every bit of being a dad. The highlight of my day is those moments in the evening where we just sit down and chit chat about all sorts of things. So yeah, it's a privilege for me. I say it all the time. It's the most important, it's the highest calling of my life, being able to father them the way I do. It's a privilege I don't take for granted.
Thank you so much. It's so touching to hear you talk about them like that. And it's not often that we get to hear the perspectives of a single dad. So or the daily programming of a single dad's life. So thank you for that insight as well. We appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
I think there are a couple of comments in here. Well, quickly, we'll read up that later. But we definitely, your emotional grounding is is solid. But for you as a person, because this is legacy talk, and I'm big on people, making an impact in this life that they live in.
Yes.
When people think Nathaniel Adegoke, what do you think will come to their mind when they're thinking legacy where you're concerned?
Actually, that's really a good question. And it's also funny because I'm currently doing a rebranding project. So I'm trying to launch my book.
Okay.
I'm trying to finalize my book. So I'm working on my website. I'm coming up with a personal logo. I mean, I'm just trying to like brand myself.
Yeah.
And one of the questions the consultant told me to do, or one of the tasks the consultant gave me, was to ask 5 or 6 of my closest friends to tell me 5 things about myself, good or bad, like things that define me from their own angle. One thing was consistent: empathy, love, compassion. I think they kept on talking about, how I'm a love being and I'm constantly on and on about love and things like that.
Is that why they call you Otumba Love?
I think it was Otuba was my nickname.
Okay.
For the longest time. And of course, because I'm very big on love, I'm very big on being, I mean, the 1 Corinthians 13 definition, I am big on that. So it just makes a good second nickname. so yes. So love, compassion, empathy rank very much in the responses, and also because my primary calling is helps, right? So I'm constantly looking for how to help people, either financially or how to provide wisdom to what they're going through. And my work is also management consulting, so I'm also helping organizations pretty much deal with problems they might be facing, or helping them make money, as the case might be. So yeah, from a legacy point of view, I would say people would mostly remember me for my heart, my love, and my affectionate ways. A few people who are close enough would know me for my passion and maybe my intelligence as well.
Are you mischievous in any form?
No, I'm not. No. Sincerely, I'm not mischievous,
Okay.
but I also think that my wit makes me come across as extremely alagbari kind of person. Like, I'm not likely to be, I don't suffer prisoners, and I'm not the guy to allow things that are not, I mean, I pretty much can be stern, I think, especially around matters of principles that are important to me.
Okay, so where I'm looking at time, I'm conscious we don't want to go over time. At the same time, I still have one last thing. I know I said 2, but then another one just popped there. Okay, when it comes to values, what would be your topmost personal core value?
Love.
Okay, cool.
Love. If you're asking for just one, then it's gonna be love.
2.
If you're asking for more, it will be truth and justice.
Fantastic.
Truth and justice. Like, I'm huge on things around truth, justice, human rights, and things like that.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been, I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Honestly, I don't think I get to do this quite often enough. Hopefully, I will change my ways. But I'm usually very shy. Like, after saying yes to doing this with you, trust me, I had a hangover. Like, what did you just agree to? But because I said yes, I couldn't go back on my word. So yes, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to quickly see if we have any quick comments there, because we're running out of time. I want to say thank you to everyone that has joined us live today. It's been a pleasure having you. It's been a pleasure reading your comments and everything you've added on to the conversation. Shade Samakirili had something about relationship. About feeling she needs to feel that she feels the need for her heart to mend, especially for our boys when it comes to bringing somebody into the relationship. That's true. Let me see what we have. October, not everyone understands. I have a personal experience. A man had a crush on me and he loved me dearly, but feeling mutual.
Which happens, and it's totally okay. It's totally okay.
Yeah.
For the feeling not to be mutual.
Yeah. It happens. Shayo, thank you for joining us, Shayo. I love that. Thank you very much. Hi. Otumba Falashade Alabi says, I love how you love your kids. Auntie, my sister, that's my sister-in-law. Auntie, thank you for joining. Well done, much good question. Irene, thank you. Dorita Edwards, thank you. Tolu, Tolu, I'm going to skip this your question. We'll have to leave it for another day. If you were in a Nollywood movie, one of the school teachers would have become teacher at home by now. So let her become your new missus. Okay. Right, okay. My auntie says rich dad is not mischievous. So every dad is mischievous. You all have something inside of you. I know I can speak for my husband because I know.
Well, maybe that's a part of me I'm not aware of. So I'm on my self-awareness journey.
Okay, we'll have your kids answer that. So guys, thank you. That's all we're going to have for today. Nathaniel, it's been a pleasure having you. I really appreciate you coming.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for bringing me on. I'm glad.
Do you have any final word for the audience? Or for anybody that's going to watch this?
Yes, I was thinking about my final word, and it would be that live your most authentic life. And if what has happened to the world in the last 1 or so year is a pointer, it's that tomorrow is not guaranteed. We never would have imagined our world would look this way 2 years ago, but here we are. And every day when you wake up in the morning, receive that day as a gift and make up your mind to live your most authentic life for yourself first. In that authenticity, make sure there is love, make sure there is truth. Make sure that you're committed to your purpose. Make sure that you're living your life maximally, first for yourself, and then secondly for your neighbor. And even if you don't get to see another day, you would have lived a well life. You would have lived well.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I echo what he said, exactly as he said it. I'm echoing it. So, live your authentic self, your true self. Enjoy life, make a difference on a daily basis, not just for yourself, for your family, for the generations coming behind you, for people in your world, in the workplace. Let people know that you're adding value to their lives on a daily basis and adding value to yourself as well. So thank you guys once again. See you next week. Same great channel here live. And it's a surprise. I love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.